This is a short talk about chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, or ME, however it might have been diagnosed. My name is Erica White, and I'm Nutritional Director of Nutrition Help and a Fellow of the Institute for Optimum Nutrition, and also an Honorary Fellow of the British Association for Applied Nutrition and Nutritional Therapy. I'm also the author of Erica White's Beat Fatigue Handbook, which gives a very detailed account of things I'm going to be saying now. And recently I ran a research project looking at nutritional influences on chronic fatigue syndrome, and the report of that was published in the Journal of Orthomolecular Medicine in Toronto. I'm going to be answering a few questions about my understanding of and approach to chronic fatigue syndrome.
So Erica, let's start at the beginning. What exactly is CFS or ME?
Well, I see it as just an umbrella term which covers a whole gamut of possible conditions. So we're not looking at just one condition and one cause, and therefore one possible cure. Whatever conditions are playing a part need to be identified so that they can be tackled, because each separate specific condition is putting a load on the immune system and on probably the digestive system and the nervous system, and just weakening the body. So by identifying the specific conditions and tackling them, you can start to remove those loads.
How did you realise that there were various causes involved?
Well, I realised it first of all in my own experience. About 40 years ago, when we had 3 young children, I became very ill and virtually bedbound for a whole year. I felt ill all over, with aches and pains and just like flu, very, very weak. But we eventually discovered at the end of a year that I had an allergic reaction to the new North Sea gas which had just been piped into our house. So that particular factor was allergy, and I've seen allergy be a major factor in very many cases of CFS. But I also realised, or learnt to realise a bit later on, that the reason the allergy had had such a severe effect on me was that my body was already struggling. I came to discover that I was coping with the effects of an overgrowth of the common yeast Candida albicans. I also came to realise that I had low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, and all these things had weakened my body to such an extent that the gas allergy was the straw which broke the camel's back.
So you are saying that allergy, yeast infection and low blood sugar are 3 of the possible factors which can lead to a weakened immune system.
That's right.
And open the door to CFS, ME.
Absolutely, yes.
I've read in your Beat Fatigue Handbook that you believe there are 10 possible factors, any of which might play its part in the onset of this illness. Viral infection, an allergy, nutritional deficiencies, toxicity, lifestyle negative factors, stress, past or present, hyperventilation, inefficient thyroid function, or low blood sugar.
That's right, but you've just listed 9 there, and the 10th one is the one which I have seen in almost every case of CFS that I have come across, and that is into the hundreds of people. That 10th factor is an overgrowth of Candida. I've already mentioned it in my own history. An overgrowth of Candida albicans, candidiasis, which weakens the immune system to an incredible extent and in its own right causes very many problems.
So do you believe that there is hope for a full recovery from CFS?
I most certainly do. I've seen it happen hundreds of times over. And in my research project, there was one lady who'd had diagnosed CFS for the past 5 years who became fully well in just 8 months. Now, they don't all get better as quickly as that, but she certainly did, and it's certainly possible. There was one young woman prior to that who, after 4 years of CFS, became able to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So I'm talking about becoming fully well, not just learning how to manage the symptoms.
What do you think is the main reason that you yourself could recover from CFS-ME?
Well, it was discovering about nutrition and the importance of good nutrition. I previously had no idea that the awful foods I enjoyed and liked to put into my body were helping to make me ill. It was discovering that, the importance of good nutrition, and also it was discovering Candida and realizing that something could be done that encouraged me to turn around my lifestyle, my eating habits, and eventually to become well. And well enough then to undertake 3 years of training in nutritional therapy. I started at the age of 53, and it was the best thing I could have done, because it has enabled me to help a tremendous number of people in my clinical practice.
So what would you say to someone who has been given a medical diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME?
Well, I certainly don't want to give you any false hopes, but I can tell you that many, many people have recovered fully by following appropriate nutritional therapy. Now, when I say appropriate nutritional therapy, that really does mean that it needs to be tailor-made to each person. You need help to find out which problems have overloaded your immune system and therefore need to be dealt with. You need help if you've got low blood sugar, if you've got allergies, or if you've got Candida. So appropriate nutritional therapy is certainly the way that I would advise you to go. And you might like to consider that you can have a personalised report from nutritionhelp.com, which would give you all the advice you need. Just go to www.nutritionhelp.com and you can register for an online questionnaire and receive lots of detailed information and advice based on my experience over nearly 20 years. This costs you £47, and I believe you would find it was worth every penny if you were able to eventually leave your symptoms of CFS or ME behind.